Hi, everyone. Welcome to another PCM Gold Club Expert Interview. I'm Jimmy Young with Pro Cannabis Media, the founder here, and we're so happy to have Bill Perrier from Charles River Insurance as our insurance expert. Bill, how are you doing today?
I am doing fantastic. Good to be with you again. And how are you doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you. And isn't that the most important thing these days? Because everybody has to take care of themselves in a very challenging time when it comes to health and family and all that. And we hope everyone is safe and healthy. But more importantly, let's talk about being secure in a fledgling industry like the cannabis space. And one of the first things we talked about when we did our first interview was the exciting development that now cannabis farmers can actually get crop insurance. Can you talk to me a little bit about how that all works and exactly what type of insurance do they need?
Sure, my pleasure. You're right. It's a very exciting development. It's from Lloyd's of London, the standard bearer in the insurance industry. They've been around for a few minutes, 326 years. It's based out of England, and it's a great product called parametric hemp crop coverage. I want to clarify that this is only for hemp, people growing hemp products.
Gotcha.
Some states hemp is legal, marijuana, THC isn't, but hemp is legal, like in Texas, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
This product says, let's look at the weather. Let's look at things that happen in an open field that can affect crops. Let's look at tornadoes, wildfires, drought, hail, several excessive rain, several other perils. Let's use sensors that we'll put on the property with satellite technology, very exciting, and then partner with the national weather forecasts to predict the weather. Then let's have the farmer buy these different perils I mentioned for their busy seasons. For example, if the drought usually happens July to October, you don't need to have drought insurance, in February. So what it does, Jimmy, is it cuts down on the annual cost of the contract. I do want to say that this is not cheap by any stretch of the imagination. Minimum policy is $15,000.
$15,000.
1.5. Yeah.
And that is for a year or a month? What is that?
It could be one peril. You could say, I want to get protected for wildfires for the summer, 3 months, 15 grand minimum.
Gotcha. What are the exclusions on this?
Well, there really aren't a lot of exclusions on this one. It's kind of taking the things that used to be excluded, right? Like wildfires,
mm-hmm.
hail. There's two types of different hail coverage on this. They measure it by inches. So not many exclusions that we've talked about. Again, it's a brand new coverage. Only 25 people in the entire states as of yesterday have the coverage. So it's a brand new for large hemp farmer coverage.
Gotcha.
So very exciting. And again, I just want to stress it's not for everybody, and it is very expensive.
And also you made the distinction between the hemp product and the THC-based cannabis plant. What will it take to allow the insurers to look at the THC-based cannabis product? Will it be a federal decriminalization or a descheduling of the plant?
Well, I think both those things would be great. As you know, they move very slowly. Look how long it takes to get new places up and running. So
right.
Great question. Something to really ponder for the future, for sure.
And let's talk about product liability now. I know that's another form. And how do we go with that one?
Sure. So this is really important. Product liability, you can buy a standalone, or it can be part as a general liability policy. You have to really differentiate with your representative, your insurance representative, to say, I want to talk about product liability. He or she really should bring it up because it's it's a big part of the policy. But what this does is this protects the business owner in case someone gets, let's say, a bad edible that comes into the dispensary. I eat it, and let's say there's a faulty vape cartridge, and I get injured from a vape cartridge. Here's it's not really one of my favorites, but even improper labeling. If I say there's a certain ingredient or in this thing and I get sick from an ingredient that, should have had a certain type of a label on it. And then lastly, verbal information. If a bud tender, which is like the bartender, says, oh, you want something for sleeping? It's up all night because they took something that, got them up all night for 12 hours. They really could come back to complain and kind of, if they wanted to, sue the business.
Right. We certainly don't want that to happen. Now let's
No.
talk about opening a new business. And one of the biggest expenses when you open up a new business is workman's compensation insurance. With 4 new states now voting in legalization of adult use cannabis, I'm guessing there's going to be a lot more jobs available. And with jobs, you have to make sure that you have this proper coverage for your employees.
Right, you are. I couldn't have said it better, Jimmy. Thank you. And this is a mystery like the Loch Ness Monster that somebody used recently on TV. It's a mystery that people, very sharp people, educated people, don't understand. And in a nutshell is if you have a business, whether you're incorporated or LLC, and you have one employee, doesn't matter how often they work for you, could be 10 hours a week, you must, by law, have workers' compensation coverage. What I hear all the time is, well, we're a dispensary. We have 7 employees that work 25 hours a week. I don't need it, do I? Yes, you need it. And I'd like to talk about the penalties that people don't know, if you don't mind, if I could kind of throw those in.
Sure.
If you say today that you lose your workers' compensation insurance because you had it, but you didn't pay it, so it lapsed. And then a month from now, Workers' Comp Bureau investigator comes in and says, well, it's $150 a day retroactive. You're immediately shut down. Right now, you're shut down for business.
Yeah.
Until you pay the fine and pay a new policy in full, then you're not going to open up.
Right.
So we've seen people having to pay $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 fines. They have to open up because they just kind of poo-pooed the workers' comp thing. It's very important. Very important.
There are no shortcuts when you're opening a new business, as I know.
Any business.
Any business.
Not just marijuana. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Exactly right. So let's get back to that question I just had with the 5 new states coming on board with adult use cannabis, new jobs, new businesses. What advice can you give to someone who is looking at starting a business in one of those new legal states?
Sure. Great question again. Thank you, Jimmy. The main thing is it's okay to have a dollar and a dream, and you're going to make some money. It's not going to happen overnight, and you have to really, really plan. The first thing I would do, after you get your land, whether you're a cultivation site or a building for a dispensary, is I would hook up with an architect and security, because you need an elaborate security system that can take a very long time to plan for your place. I also would, I would keep fundraising money, keep getting money. You're going to need like not unlimited money, but you need probably $1 million to do it right.
Right.
And those are the 2 quick things I do. And of course, there's tons of licenses you need and meetings and protocols. The paperwork has to get redone. You can get frustrating. So I would allow time to have a lot of money. And again, get a professional architect, build design firm, and a security company right away.
That's great advice. Now, one of the things, as we know, a lot of these new laws, a lot of new opportunities also are tied in with the expungement of records of a lot of people that have been jailed and imprisoned with small amounts of cannabis possession over the last, 4 decades even, really.
Sure.
And I guess my question now is, while they recognize they'd like to give an opportunity to those who have been most impacted on the war on drugs, the realities of $1 million just to even get to the starting line really hurts these people. How are they ever going to get involved with this? And are you starting to see programs that are looking to help those social equity applicants?
Yeah, I'm not really seeing a lot of help. I'm seeing that people are finally realizing after 7, 8, 9, 10 months of blood, sweat, and tears that, you know what, this really isn't for us. We'd like to do it, but it's just not realistic. And I think I don't want to use the term thinning the herd, but again, we had a lot of people that get very excited, but then when they really think about what it costs and to do it the right way, it's just not in the cards for them, unfortunately.
Yeah. And yet they still want to move away from the illegal industry and make everybody legal. So there's like that catch-22 thing, and again, I'm not quite sure how it's going to happen as I look here in Massachusetts, or I listen to what's going on in Wisconsin or Illinois, some of the newer states. There's a lot of well, let's say discontent happening,
to say the least.
Yeah. All right. Bill Perrier from Charles River Insurance. How do people get in touch with you, sir?
Well, I'd love anyone to call me at 508-740-3082.
And Good man. Always puts his cell phone out there as his calling card, and good for you for that. In the meantime, for Bill Perrier from Charles River Insurance, I'm Jimmy Young from Pro Cannabis Media. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening to another edition of the Experts Club on PCM.